Pick up a newspaper and you will see that the real estate market is in the dumps. So why then are we having offer nights? Hello everybody and welcome back to the Last Honest Realtor podcast. I'm your host, David Fleming. Thank you so much for joining me today as we are in fact going to discuss offer nights, offer dates. What is happening? Are there multiple offers? Are properties selling over the list price? Well, of course they are. It's the Toronto real estate market, but it is not 2022 anymore and the market's changed. If you read the narrative in the media, you will see a nonstop deluge of, well, fear mongering. Listen, I've always said when the market's red hot, the media exacerbates it. And when the market is down, they're going to do that too. But we are seeing offer nights, and we're not just seeing it in the Central Court. We're seeing it throughout not just the GTA, but the entire Golden Horseshoe. So that is what I want to talk about today. And I understand that when some people hear the words offer night, they immediately recoil. They want to think, I call it the blog TOism. They want to think, and that's because all the headlines are so ridiculously negative, because food critics and photographers write about real estate. No, topic for another day. But the blog TOism of it all is that no one is buying. The real estate market's collapsed. It's cratered. It's terrible. People are giving away homes. You can walk in and get a Rosedale home for free. That's what everyone wants to think. And then they want to say, who's setting an offer date? The reality is, folks, there are two reasons that we have offer dates. One is as a strategy, and two is because the market necessitates it. And by necessitates it, I mean that the relationship between supply and demand is such that you would be a fool to not have a set offer date for your property. Now, sometimes these two things align and overlap, and sometimes they don't. But even in the latter case, where they do not align, it doesn't mean we're not going to see offer dates. And we will talk about situations, there are many, where offer dates are not working. So where are we in the market? It is April. We do not have the sales data yet from March, but March was very busy. Now, I say that, of course, on the heels of January and February, which statistically were the worst respective Jan and Feb this millennium. So I'm not going to try to make a case for, hey, everything's fine here, March was great, but I will say that we had an exceptionally busy March. And I can tell you our January was non-existent. Buyers weren't there, sellers weren't there. But March, one of the busiest months of my entire 22-year career. Listen, I know where the business goes, and ultimately I can tell you that March was busy. April, I don't expect to be any different. In fact, I think the trajectory will continue upwards. Now, we should have the TREB stats within a few days. By the time you watch this podcast, perhaps you can go to Toronto Realty blog. I'll do a full recap of what the March figures showed us. But I do believe the average home price will increase in March. Sales will increase. But what is happening with offer dates? How are properties being sold? That is what we are going to talk about today. Now, I have done a full podcast on this topic, the history of offer dates in Toronto. Now, early days in this podcast, as with everything else, you kind of start from humble beginnings. I don't know, I probably have like 400 views on it, if that. And I don't really know what a good number of views is because, like, if you're a 16-year-old in Valdosta, Georgia, and, you're wearing a bikini and you eat a chili pepper, you get 14 million hits on TikTok. So I don't know what a good number is. Maybe it doesn't matter. Point is, that was a really fun podcast. I think that was like 2 years ago. The history of offer dates in Toronto, I traced it all the way back to when I started in the business. I used real examples of property selling in 2002, 2003, 2004 with offer dates. Now, consider this. $399 for a house in Leaside in 2004. You get 6 bids. Sells for $421,525. These are real numbers. I remember having a client that bid $415, and the listing agent said, listen, you don't have it, you got to go up. And my client said, can't be done. Imagine the person that was in second place at $418 can't go up, sells for $421,525. That was what it was like back then. And we sold Pacific the other night for $300,000 over list. So what are offer dates? Why do they happen? Where do they happen? Are they working? What's it like for buyers? What's it like for sellers? Those are the questions that we're going to delve into today. And let's start with a recent example. Okay, so I'm going to start with the nuts and bolts rather than the fun part. Like the fun part is you want stories, you want numbers, you want bloodbaths, you want sensationalizing. I'm going to start with something crucial, which you might find boring, but it is essential. Expectations. Explaining expectations is key in this market. As a listing agent, you need to explain the strategy and prepare sellers for a situation where the house does not sell on offer date. Where you get into a problem is the typical agent that doesn't do a lot of business, that just says, say the house is worth 1.3. Now, they have no idea, right? They're at a day job or they do a couple deals a year. Maybe the seller wants 1.4, 1.5. Let's list it at 999. We'll get offers. And it doesn't work. And disappointment sets in. Now, in this case, okay, you didn't have the skill and experience necessary to see the strategy through to the finish. The point is, even for experienced agents out there, and I'll use myself as an example, you need to set expectations. So I had an offer date last night. The previous night, I always tell my clients the night before offers, we are going to have a phone call. And it goes like this. Hey guys, I just want to let you know what the day will be like tomorrow so that we can set expectations accordingly. They say, sure, great. First thing I say, guys, it's going to be a very long day. And they laugh. I say, listen, your house is for sale. You're going to be anxious. You're going to be excited, but you're going to be nervous. And what happens is from 9 a.m., you're waiting for me to tell you that offers are registered. But here's the thing, guys. I have had offer nights where I've had 8 offers at 6 o'clock, but at 5:01, I'm sitting with a bagel. And you set the expectations and you tell the clients that that can happen. Because guess what? This is exactly what happened with our offer date last night. So I explain the whole process to my clients. People register an offer. When they register an offer, they're just sending in an offer summary document. It has no terms and conditions. You don't know the price. What I will do, John and Jane Seller, is when an offer is registered, I will simply email you, and in the subject line, it will say first offer registered. Then I'll get another one, second offer registered, and so on. It makes for a long day. And you say that over and over and over to your clients because you need them to understand. Because the next day, when they're having a long day, when they are panicked, when they are nervous, they will remember that you said that. And I'll give them a further example. Guys, it's possible that we don't have our first registered offer until 4 o'clock, but I need you to know that that's okay. Because then when it happens, they're not caught off guard. I had 3 offers on my Bloor West listing. The first offer was registered at 4:37 p.m. Second offer was registered at 4:55 p.m. And the third offer was registered at 5:48 p.m. Now, when I sent my client an email at 4:37 p.m. that said first offer registered, she wrote back and said, I would be lying if I didn't say I was sweating bullets over here. You have to prepare your clients, because if you don't have those conversations at all, they're losing their minds. And I've had those situations before. No word of a lie. Offers were at 6 o'clock. And at 5:01, you don't have anything. And you're also dealing with, what did my mom call it? The great unwashed. You're dealing with people. You're dealing with people, and you can't control them. And you might have someone email you an offer at 6:10, and the offer file is called scan 9278841. Like they didn't even call it, 23 Jones Street. And it's someone that you've never spoken to, and there's like subject line, scam. And then you open the file, and you're like, oh, it's an offer. It's from who is this from? monkeylover81@gmail.com. That's a realtor? Yes. Those people exist. You need to be prepared for everything. So I don't want to belabor that point, which I think I already have done, but expectations are crucial in this market. And as a listing agent, you have to set that expectation. As a seller, and you might be watching this and, maybe one day you're going to be in this scenario. And if your listing agent hasn't set this expectation, hopefully I have done that for you. So there are 5 topics that I want to discuss today. 5 bullet points, if you will. As far as the offer dates go in Toronto's 2026 spring market, the first one, I made them in question format. Are offer dates necessitated by the market? Now, what do we mean by necessitated? We mean, are they deserved? Deserved. If it was Shakespeare, it would be deserved. Remember the end of Romeo and Juliet? All are punished, right? Am I right on this? Yes, all are punished. My answer would be yes and no. Are offer dates necessitated? Are they deserved or deserved? I think we covered that. And it's not a cop-out to say yes and no, but you've got different geography, different locations, different neighborhoods. You've got different price. You've got different buyer profiles. And then you've got supply and demand. And that's really the key here. So are offer dates necessitated by the market? The holy grail of real estate for the longest time was that typical $1.2 to $1.4 million entry-level house in the central core. And that was always a $999 list, and you're getting multiple offers. Now, when the market turned south, all of a sudden these are in abundance. And as I've covered on these podcasts before, real estate agents, listing agents, sellers, they did not adjust. And we saw a time, 2024, sorry, it's all blending together. I think it was the spring of 2024, where offer dates were working at, and I know this because I tracked every single one, offer dates were working at like a 35% clip. And so I had a listing on the east side. And in order to prepare, talk about expectations, in order to prepare the seller for what's ahead, I had a Google sheet that was shared, and I logged every single listing between 999 and 1.3. And did it have an offer date? And did it sell an offer date? 3 weeks leading up to our listings, we're at like 35%. 2 weeks before our listing, offer dates were working at 25%. And guys, I'm not just exaggerating to make this up. A week before our listing, offer dates were working at about 20%. So then we listed, and guess what? On our offer date, we got 0 offers. But I prepared them. I showed them. You have a 20% chance of selling your house on the offer date, and it wasn't working. So let me go back to our 2026. Are offer dates necessitated by the market? Well, it really does depend, and that's not a cop-out. But if you have an area where 20% of offer dates are working and you're selling, no, they're not necessitated. But it doesn't mean that people aren't still going to set them. And this is the key here. Because if you're a buyer and you're seeing that offer dates are not working, you strategize accordingly. And we go to the 905 in another point here. I'm going to explain how you can use that to your advantage. So here's the problem. Sellers are assuming that offer dates work all the time. Sellers are entitled, not just Central Core, 905, everywhere. The entitlement among sellers, and guys, it's everywhere. I got off the phone with a client last night and I said, listen, every seller wants more and every buyer wants to pay less. And it doesn't matter what price point or which location, that is never going to change. But sellers in a lot of cases are chasing prices in the rearview mirror. We'll talk about this in the 905 in a minute, but depending on where you are in the market, if it's downtrending and you're looking back, as an example, you tell your mortgage broker, look, all my friends are getting 4% on a 5-year fixed. Your mortgage broker's like, yeah, like last month. And you're like, yeah, mortgage rates went up 50 basis points. That's what happened. And you're like, but my friend just got, yes, and they changed. 5-year fixed rate, or his 3-year fixed rate went up 50 basis points. So to you just had that conversation with your friend Billy last week. And Billy, didn't he just buy last month? Markets can change. And so in the rearview mirror, you're seeing the price that your neighbor got. But when was that? Oh, it wasn't that long ago. It was just like last year. But it could be a completely different market. So I do believe that offer dates are necessitated by the market in some cases. But I also believe that they are not necessitated and agents are still doing it. So that brings me to my second point here, or second question. Are offer dates working? Now, this would depend on your definition of success. Is the goal to A, get offers, B, get a specific price, or C, get the property sold? Now, obviously, it's some combination of those. But if the goal is to get a specific price, okay, I want $1 billion. Well, you can't really do that. It doesn't work like that. Okay, well, I want to get offers. Well, talk to my friend that got 6 offers on his listing and still couldn't sell the darn thing. So let's use an example. A colleague of mine had a listing for $2 million. Unbelievable house. Now, when he took a bunch of our colleagues to go into this house, people were like, this is 2.5, this is 2.6. So what do? Do you list it at 2.5? Do you list it at 2.6? I don't know. Great location, close to the subway, sought after school district, renovated house. So my colleague decides to list this thing for 1,999. And he gets 5 offers on the offer night. What did it sell for? Guess. Go ahead. I can feel you. It's a trick question. It didn't sell. So it doesn't sell. Now, why is that? Well, let's say you're listed for 1,999 and you get 5 offers and the highest is 215. You don't have to sell. Now, I know that some people watching this are like, well, you should have to take the highest offer. I don't should. I just don't. I never will. But regardless, why did that house not get the price that it woulda, coulda, what it was worth? Now, you might tell me, use my own words against me, property's worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So if they got 5 offers, the highest was 215. That's what it's worth. Okay, listen, my colleague relisted this for 2.5 and sold it 1 week later for 245. So there's an example of an offer date not working. They got 5 offers, so it worked, right? But they didn't get it sold. So you have to understand what your definition of success is to really explain whether or not offer dates are working. Now, how about this one? You paid $1.8 million for your home in Durham region in 2022. You list for 1,499 with an offer date. You get 2 offers. The highest is 1,525. Did your offer date work? It depends. I say it worked. 1.81525. I mean, what's the market done since then? Isn't that market down 30%? What's 1854, $540,000? Yeah, you're making out pretty well. But here's the thing, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, well, we were really hoping to get 1.8 plus our land transfer tax plus our real estate fees. Okay, why don't you throw in another 100,000 just for good luck? You can't say the offer date didn't work because you didn't get what you wanted. And I just gave you the example of market value. The 5 offers came in. My colleague got 215. And I'm not trying to talk out of both sides of my mouth, but what I am trying to say is that you cannot simply set an offer date and expect to get the price that you want. What is it worth within a range? And we can see properties sometimes that get the 5 offers and don't sell. And in this case, I would say your offer date worked because you got market value, but then you just, don't want to take it. So if you simply list a house, set a date, and you don't get offers, you can't say your offer date didn't work. It could be that you just didn't understand what you were doing. Because where are you pricing at? I have a colleague that says you can never list too low. She always seems to get a ridiculous number of offers on her listings. Can never list too low. I've heard that multiple times. I remember once, agent shall remain nameless, agent took a house that was worth, I don't know, 1.8, 1.9, 2 million, listed for $999. Ended up selling for $2 million. You could say that you hate the process. That's a strategy. So if you have a house that you believe is worth 1.3 million, you list it for $999, you get 14 offers. They sell for 1.2. Okay, well, it didn't work. You have 14 offers, but you sold it for less than you thought it was worth. It's intrinsic value. It's comparable market analysis value, or what your neighbor got yesterday. Now, if you list it for $999 and you get 4 offers and you sell for 133, you've done pretty well for yourself. So whether or not offer dates are working, and again, I'm not trying to, as I said, as a cop-out, yes and no, it's really based on your definition of what success is. To me, an offer date works when you get the property A, sold, and B, for a price that works for your seller. Now, my third point here, are we seeing bully offers and are they working? Now, what is a bully offer? If you don't know, where have you been? A bully offer, a preemptive offer. There's an offer date and it's set for next Tuesday. But you decide as a buyer, I ain't waiting till next Tuesday. I'm going to go in with my offer. That's what a bully offer is. Now, a bully offer is usually very aggressive. Excuse me. And I'll give you an example. I had a listing on the east side. We were listed for 1099. I had to think about it. 1099. It's been a blur. I'm telling you, March was nuts. We got a bully for 136. That's what a bully is. We were 1099 with an offer date, and someone came in on a Friday night. They threw it in there. Here's 1.36 million, David. It's unconditional. Here's a scan of our check, and I will come and meet you as soon as your seller takes this. More on that in a moment. So the first trend that I'm noticing out there, guys, and this is a tough one. A lot of listing agents are bullying their own listings and like high profile listings. So listen, if you're a buyer and you want to have the listing agent for the property represent your interests, fine. I don't blame you. And I would never say across the board that a listing agent that's representing buyer and seller is this or that. I could say they're good, they're bad, they're kind, they're evil. Everybody's different. Every scenario is different. There are a lot of people that believe that it's a conflict of interest for the listing agent to represent a buyer and seller. Some of you watching this right now are like, yeah, and you can't explain otherwise. I'm going to sidebar here. I had a client a few years ago, came from New York, and they were looking in Midtown. I showed them 6 houses, and they absolutely loved one of the 6. It was my listing. And they're like, well, what do we do now? I was like, well, you let me know what you want to offer. They're like, oh, no, I mean, how do we find another agent to represent us? And I was like, what? They're like, well, you can't represent both sides. They came from a jurisdiction where it wasn't allowed. They had no idea what to do. You know what? It took them a week. They talked to a lot of people in Toronto, back home. We worked it out, and I did effectively represent both sides. You can say whether or not that's ethical or not, but they went through the process, and it is allowed in the province of Ontario. But bullying your own listing, man, that's a tough one. Bully your own listing. You're the listing agent. You bring the property out. You set an offer date. You say the seller reserves the right to review preemptive offers. And then whether it's your client or literally a cold call, hi, I want to see the property. Can I see it with you? I want to buy through the listing agent, because everyone always thinks they're getting a deal that way, even though they blow their brains out with a bully offer, 400,000 over list or something like that. So I'm seeing a lot of that. And you know what? It's up to the seller. It's not a cop out. A lot of agents use that as a cop out. I was like, well, it depends on what my seller wants. And you can always blame the seller, right? My seller wanted me to represent both the buyer and the seller based off a cold call from a person that I'd never met in my entire life that wanted to bully offer the listing. It's not my fault. I think that's a lot of what's happening out there. So that's a trend I'm spotting. Watch for it. Listing agents bullying their own listings. But in practice, can we talk about how and where we are seeing bully offers? Does it work for the buyers? Does it work for the sellers? So I think that when you have an exceptionally unique property, and let's take, it'll have sold by the time you watch this, but there was a property that came out in Riverdale. It was on Simpson Avenue. And to me, this is one of the most unique properties I've ever seen in Riverdale. Now this, I think was this for 2728. And listen, it's on Simpson. That's, I think, the southmost street. But my God, was this thing gorgeous. I was shocked that didn't get a bully offer. That's the kind of house where somebody says, listen, I'll buy this for 3.1. I'll buy this for 3.2. I'll buy this for 3.3. My fear is that somebody pays more. So I'm going to make a bully offer for 3.3. And maybe on offer night, you could have got it for 3.2, but you were worried on offer night it could have gone for 3.6. That's a smart bully offer play. Now, a lot of buyers do a bully offer because they're just hoping that maybe the seller will take it. And that leads me into my story about my East Side property. So we listed for 1,099, as I said. We got a bully offer for 136. So, oh, the glasses were coming off. I call the clients. Hey guys, we got a bully offer for 136. And they're like, okay, what do you think? I was like, well, I'm not going to change my opinion of what I think. So what I'd like for you guys to do is consider it on your own and call me back. They're like, okay, what do we need to consider it? Well, I want you to think about what you were hoping to get for this house, the numbers and the range that I gave you. Now consider how many showings we've had and make an informed, effective decision. So they called me back and they said, we're going to take it. No, you're not. They're like, what? I said, you're not taking this. They're like, what? David, 136. Like, we came into this thinking we were going to get 1.3. I was like, you thought you were going to get 1.3 to 1.4. They're like, yes. And it's past the halfway mark. I said, guys, where we are right now in this market, it's upside. You are not going to get less than 136 on offer night. Okay, listen, you might get 135 or 134 or 133. But my God, the sky's the limit. We got 1.5 on offer night. So, I mean, that's a whole other podcast, right? Gambling, reading the tea leaves. You could say that I made my clients $140,000 there. Oh, I feel like we could turn this into a podcast about why one agent's different from the next. No, now I just sound like a jerk. Okay, I'm sorry about that. But I mean, the point is kind of made. You can hate real estate agents, you hate me, my t-shirt. But I did tell them not to sell it, and I got them $140,000 more for it. So like, you know, that's real. And that's the problem with bully offers right now for both buyer and for seller. What do you do? Now, buyers are afraid of overpaying. Sellers are afraid of underselling. Now, in that case, had my clients taken that, they would have died and gone to heaven. Okay. They're older. I'm not gonna say they don't need the money, but yeah, like they're retiring. They got plans. That was a lot of money, but I would have been doing them a disservice had I not, based on my experience, based on my read of the market, based on conversations I've had with people, and based on my sixth sense, subjective, immeasurable, intangible understanding of what is going to happen, crystal ball on the offer night. And I think the proof's in that pudding there. Where'd that saying come from? All are punish it. Number 4, are we seeing offer dates on condos? What? Who would set an offer date for condo? We're in the worst condo market I've ever seen in my entire life. Guys, offer dates for condos are real. They are happening. And it's funny because if I was a buyer of a condo, I would be like, sorry, what year is it? What you want me to bid on a condo? Bear with me. I was talking to my friend Anya Ettinger, who I did a podcast with. We need more real estate agents with podcasts. There's just not enough of them. Damn it. I was talking to her. She said she was in a 6-offer melee. I use the word melee on Fort York Boulevard. I was like, sorry, someone wanted to buy on Fort York Boulevard, first of all and foremost. I want to be as close to the gardener as I can get, and the lakeshore. 6 offers on Fort York. Why? That's what I would say if I was buying a condo. Why? Well, here's the thing. Let's say you have a condo that's worth $500,000 and it's listed for $299 and there's 14 offers and it sells for $450. Sure. Yeah, you want to be a part of that. And that's not really a real scenario, and it might be based on the conversation we're going to have next. But my overwhelming point is this. In today's market, where it is the worst resale condo market that we have seen in a very, very, very long time, why would you go and line up to bid on a condo? I mean, you would if you were getting it for a steal, which I'll show you in a moment. But I think that if you are a buyer, you're trying to avoid those scenarios. So let me tell you what it was like when I was so much younger in 2021. In 2021, you would list a condo for sale and set an offer date, which right now is madness. And again, I'm not going to gloss over the fact that, we would do pre-renovations, we would empty the condo, we'd buy out the tenants, whatever it is. We would stage the property, market it effectively. I cannot get into a whole thing right now, but I just want you to know that it's not about setting an offer date. We would price it in a certain way, and we would get 21 offers. I had 21 offers on a place on Richmond Street East, 311 Richmond. It's not even a great building. It's a great building. It's a value building, but it's not like the sexy loft. 21 offers. And I was looking at my notes earlier. Richmond West, I think it was 199, that Art Deco building. We had an absolute dog unit. And we had like 15, 16 offers. I dropped my pen. It was the universe telling me, don't be rude. You called it a dog unit. Now, the night before Christmas? No, the night before COVID, and I used to remember this, but the memory's going. It was March 15th, 16th, or 17th of 2020. We had a listing on Regent Park Boulevard. $499, 13 offers, sold for $625. And I will always remember this because the next day the world shut down. The government was like, hey, don't leave your home. I can't believe we did that. But that always stands out to me. Regent Park, 13 offers. Are you kidding me? Now listen, that was then and this is now. So are there hot condos out there? Are there condos that necessitate an offer date? Or is this a myth? So March 31st, I sat down and I looked at every sale in Toronto for a condo this year. 309 condos sold for 101% of list or more. But I found 99 condos that sold for 110% or more. Now, what type of property is selling above list? Here's one. 180 University Avenue. This is the Shangri-La. Never sold in there. I don't really jive with that demographic. Now, there's a unit in there that was being sold by an income fund. Okay, so maybe they've got an agenda. Maybe they're more or less likely to take a loss. Do they have to provide a return to their investors, or do they see that the condo market's declining and they need to get out? Now, they listed this for $1,399,000. They set an offer date, and it sold for $1,560,000. Wow, you guys got $160,000 over list. You got multiple offers on a condo. So yeah, it happens. But is it a myth or is it real? Guys, listen to this. The identical model is on the market right now for $2.1 million. That doesn't mean it's worth it. That guy could be crazy town. But the same model sold for $185,000 in September. One floor different. So if $185,000 in September, and let's say that, the market's changed. I don't know, what's that worth? 1.8? 1.775? They sold this for 1.56. So you could say in this case, they dumped it. And maybe they did. Did the offer date work? It got them a sale. Now, 17 Zora Street. I've never been there. I think it's out at like Queensway and Islington. There's probably like a Coffee Time Donuts around there. There's a unit that sold for, you ready for this? 175% of the list price. They listed this condo for $299,000. Okay, it's 710 square feet. So they listed it for $423 a square foot, which is funny because it costs $1,100 a square foot to build today, or $1,000 a square foot. They listed it for $423. That's a great lead into why condos are a great investment long term, because you could buy them for less than the replacement value. You don't want to hear that. Condos, they're a terrible investment. They sold this for $525, guys. 175% of the list price. Listed for $299, Sold for $525. Sold for $739 a square. Now, I don't know how many offers they got on this, but did their offer date work? Yes, it worked. They got the property sold. They got a S ton of offers, and the 175% is kind of a footnote. Now, there was one thing, and I had to mention this, very incongruent, but there was a note in the listing that said, ready for this? Status certificate has been reviewed by our lawyer and given the green light with report. See listing attached. Are you insane? You're providing legal advice to the buyer? You're the seller. Like, I'm all for thinking outside the box, but you are inviting a problem. That is cuckoo bananas. Okay, so my next note says, look, what's really happening out there. So you had the place at Shangri-La, they got multiple offers, they dumped it. You had the place at Zora, it listed for a stupid price, you got offers, it worked. There's a condo on King Street. I put condo and King in brackets because I didn't want it to be identified. Well, there's a lot of condos on King. This was listed for $629 in July of 2025. Now they reduced it all the way down to $618. And it sat on the market until January. So you don't want to sell it, right? You're at $618. Now, what do you take when you're at $618? I mean, you take $600, I would think. Wouldn't you take $600? You take, $618? You didn't move it. You did not move it. August, September, October, November, December, January. So in Jan, it's listed for $459 with an offer date. And it gets multiple offers. Air quotes. 115% of list price it's sold for. That's a big number. We got 115% of the list price for our latest listing. I can already see someone bragging about that. Sold over asking riders on the top of lawn signs, they should be outlawed. So 115% of the list price. Sorry, guys. I live in my own mind sometimes. 530,000. That's what 115% of the list price is. Are you going to put a sold rider on that? I mean, it's a condo, so no. But that's my joke. Sold over asking, good for you. You sold it for $530. You were on the market for $618. So is this a win? You got it sold. We talked about whether or not offer dates on condos are working. Talked about whether offer dates are working in general, and one of my metrics was, isn't your goal to get it sold? But you were on the market for $618. And as I said, you probably in July or August last year, you would have taken $615, $610, $605, $600, $590, maybe. Maybe they got offered something like that and they just didn't do it. And then they decided in January, I got to get out, listed at $459. We got multiple offers. We sold for 115% of the list price, which is $530,000. That, I think, is very indicative of what's actually happening in the condo market with offer dates. You're seeing a property listed. It's not moving. They list it stupid low. A bunch of people line up to bid on it, and it sells for a price that was nowhere near what the seller wanted. Now, my last point here, guys, this is fun. This is fun because I never leave home. I just love to be alone in my basement. I don't get out much to the 905, but I have been out there lately. I have 2 clients that are looking. Actually, the team has a bunch, but we've been out there. Madness, period. That was in my notes. Madness, period. What's happening in the 905? Madness, period. Checks notes. Guys, it's crazy out there. And I don't know how to make sense of this. I tried to formulate all of my thoughts, of which there were many, and I came up with 3 points. They don't know what year it is. When did I write this? They're acting like it's 2022. They're acting like it's 2021. Hell, they're acting like it's 2023. It's not. There's no demand up there. And they're listing properties with offer dates, and none of them are selling. They hold back offers for 16 days. So in Toronto, this reminds me of the movie Swingers. Remember, how long till you wait to call somebody after you get their number? And Vince Vaughn and the other guy both simultaneously go, 8 days. So in Toronto, how long do you wait to hold back offers? 6 days. I'm a 6-day guy. I know some 7s. I know some 8s. I know some 8-day people. I like to list on a Tuesday and have offers on the following Monday. In the 905, they're holding back offers for 16 days. They're going through 2 full weekends. It's kind of funny because, like, up there, they think this is totally normal. They must come down here and they're like, wait, you just listed. You're already reviewing offers. I don't know if this is strategic or if they have no idea what they're doing. My third point is that they relist like it's expected. They just list it, set an offer date, get 0 offers, then they relist higher. And I have to ask the obvious question, why? Why does this happen? Why are we pricing like this? Why are we seeing all these offer dates set when nothing's selling? Well, number one, sellers don't seem to want to accept fair market value. I've had conversations with people up there. I called a guy the other day, I swear to God, it sounded like they were in the locker room. It's a completely different energy. And you say to someone that bought at the peak for 2 million, you're listed at 1,599. Is that not what it's worth? And my God, the stuff that they say, and it's their job, right? But I mean, you have access to the statistics, right? We kind of all do. The sellers don't want to accept fair market value, and you don't have to sell. If you pay $2 million and that house is worth 1.6 now, you do not have to sell, but you're not selling for 2 million. Now, sellers don't want to wait a year to sell. Okay, so you don't want to sell for market value, but you don't want to wait a year to sell. So then what do? Well, that's my third point. And I mean this with all due respect to the listing agents. Listing agents don't know how to sell it. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're being put in an impossible position. Somebody says, I bought at the peak for 2 million. Listing agent says, well, it's probably worth 1.6. So it says, well, I really need to get 2.1. Listing agent's like, okay, you know what we'll do? We'll set an offer date and create a bidding war. Go back to my first point. You don't know what year it is right now. It is a completely different market than in Toronto. So I'll give you an example. And I'm kind of leading into this with numbers that are, what we've experienced in these conversations I've had with a particular client. I will give you this example of the property that was listed for $2 million. And then they dropped to 1,499. And my client messages me and says, did they just drop the price $500,000? No. It's a different quote unquote strategy. Air quotes. Get me Chris Farley. If you are not my age, you do not know. You familiar with the air quotes? Chris Farley, Saturday Night Live. Thank you. And she's young too. Okay. Give me the air quotes. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. I don't know how to sell real estate. I don't know how to run an offer date. You're at $2 million. You relist at 1,499 with an offer date. That's going to work. Everyone's going to flock to it. I can just see it now. The entire GTA says, oh my God, that house is only 1,499. They all flock to it. And then they get so carried away on the offer night and they bid it up to 2 million. Is that the logic? That's what you think is going to happen? No, the offer date comes, they get 0 offers and they relist for 1,979,000 because that is what happened in this case. Now, and I feel bad for my client. He's a nice guy. He's like, David, maybe. I'm like, no, there's no maybe. He's like, okay, hear me out. I'm like, no. He's like, but what if the seller really, no. Everyone wants to think, right? You want to think maybe they just really need to move it. And I don't blame you for thinking that. What would Gretzky say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So it's like, I'm going to go around and offer on 100 properties in situations like this. And maybe one person is really desperate. You all love to think that. Say y'all. You all love to think that. But when you have a $2 million house and they turn around, they list it for 1,499 with an offer date, they're not selling it for 1,499 or 1,525 or 1.6 or 1.7 or 1.8. And here they relist it for 1,979. Now, this almost necessitates a 6th point, that the offer date after being listed higher is the worst strategy I've ever seen. I've done full podcasts about pricing, and I probably talked about this a couple weeks ago. We did a pricing podcast, and I think I might have talked about this a couple sections ago in the condo section, but I've used this example before. When you're given a placebo, it might work because you don't know, that it's not a real pill. When a doctor says, I'm prescribing you a placebo, it can't work. When you list a property at $999 and everyone's in the dark and you have no idea what it's going to sell for, okay, there's no, you don't know. There's no ceiling. What's it worth? When you list at 2 million and then you turn around and list at 1,499 with an offer date, people aren't tricked. They already saw you listed for 2 million. They saw your cards. It's like Kramer reversing his people on Seinfeld. I'm an analogy guy. So it's almost expected in the 905 right now. Properties are coming out. They're being listed with offer dates. They're getting no offers. They're being listing higher. Properties are slashing their list price, setting an offer date. The placebo doesn't work because you told us it's a placebo. You're not getting multiple offers because we already saw what you had listed for before, and it is relisted. And it is so hard to do business up there right now because the sellers just don't want to sell for what the market is going to necessitate. So my conclusion, if you will, guys, offer nights will always be a part of Toronto real estate, regardless of the market. Even in an ice cold market, People will still use it as a strategy, even if it was doomed to fail at the onset. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's necessitated or not. And I gave you that example of that weird time in 2023 when nothing was selling on the offer date. And I priced this place on the east side. I think it was on Woody Crest. And I prepped my clients. I showed them 15, 20% of offer nights are producing a sale. But every agent continued to list with an offer date. And I did the same thing. It's not necessitated, but you're going with the flow. And that's a whole other story about what happens in that kind of part of the market when you're post May 2-4. And I do have a note of that. We'll come back to that in a moment. But I'll give you an example, guys. We have 5 listings coming out in April. Okay. 1995 in New York, East York. Freudian slip there. I got to get out of Dodge. 2695 in Bedford Park. 1599 in the Bluffs. 2895 in Caribou Park. And another one at 1995 in not New York, it's East York. I did do a double take because we do have 2. They won't be competing. They'll be 3 weeks apart. None of these have offer dates. Why? Because this price point, this location, this property type does not necessitate it. I'm not going to put something out there with a poor strategy. I'm also kind of relieved because when you get to an offer night, and I told you about the client that was, a little nervous. We didn't get our first offer registered till almost 5 o'clock. Listen, offer nights are hard. You got to work. You got to make it happen to produce a sale. It's not automatic. So I'm actually a little relieved that on these 5 properties, we don't have offer dates. And it brings me into why I'm happy to not have offer dates moving forward. Because as I said earlier, the market changes after May 2-4. And there's 3 reasons. Number 1, most buyers have bought. You list on June 6th. How many buyers started their search at the beginning of the year? They've already bought. Number 2, buyers that haven't bought, they're tired. They've been looking. They've been bidding. They've been losing. And number 3, people are looking forward to summer. Of course, it's Toronto. I always ask myself, why do we do this? Why do we live here? I walked outside the other day, it was 19 degrees. And I was like, why do we live here? Why do we voluntarily live in a place that is dark and cold and miserable for 4 to 5 months of the year? But that's the key. We're heading into April. The weather is better. People are excited. People are happy. The sun makes you happy. Literally, the first good weather day, everyone was just smiling. And Tara, of course, she's the resident happy person. The rest of us are not. And she was like, it's the weather. And I thought about it. I hadn't even considered it. Yes, the weather immediately made people happy. And that is what we're going into in April. We are going to see better weather. And we're going to see more involvement in the market. Now, we are going to see more listings, rather. Don't get me wrong. And as I said, we see this every year as we get post May 2-4. That was the story I told you about the offer dates that weren't working at 15 to 20%, prepping the client. That's a hard time to list when you're in the muddled middle with all of the other listings because everyone thinks it's a great time, May, June. Now, it's a good time to be a buyer. There's going to be a lot more buyer activity, but there's also going to be a ton of sellers. So I personally think that whether it is the economy, whether it's trajectory of the market, or whether it, honest to God, guys, and this is my theory, is the weather making people happy, it's going to push the market over the next couple of months. Now, speaking of weather, are you going out to golf? Probably an April golfer, but are you going to be watching the Masters? Yes, indeed. I'm really cheering for Tiger Woods this year. I think he's going to be fantastic. That's a joke. You're watching this and you're like, did he film this before Tiger's latest DUI? Listen, if you're not a Tiger fan, we can't be friends. Not a great human, but my God, what a golfer. I'm really upset that he can't play in the Masters. I'm cheering for Rory. I hope you are too. You're not like a Max Homa fan, right? Like even Max Homa's mother is like, sorry, son. Like there's just so many boring golfers out there. I'm done with Scotty Scheffler too. He's won twice. Let's be fair. Let's give it to somebody new. So folks, enjoy the Masters. It's my favorite sporting event of the year. I like it more than the Super Bowl. Honest to goodness, it just makes me kind of like a 45-year-old boring dad. But yes, the Masters are around the corner. It's a function of the great weather that is happening. So excited to get out there and golf. Folks, thanks for watching as always. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to email me directly, davidfleming@ballsyrealestate.com. If you want to leave a comment for me, I love reading those. Drop me a line in the YouTube comments section below. Please remember to like, comment, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you here next time on The Last Honest Realtor.